And here we are. Good morning. My name is Paco, and here we are in Puerto Vallarta, and we are live. We're drinking coffee on today, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Here's my April Fool's Day mug. I hope you're here with me, and I hope you've got your coffee ready because I have a few things to share with you. I was first and foremost really, really touched by some of the reactions that I received um, yesterday after the broadcast that we did. I want to show some of those with you. I want to share some of those with you, rather. Let's see. Christina Flynn wrote me, "Thank you for doing this. I'm so happy that I found you. The information you provide brings me great peace. We are very isolated just outside of Rincon de Guayabitos." Cristina, I hope you're watching today. I hope you're going to be sharing some comments. Rincon de Guayabitos and La Peñita are two of my favorite places to go. Um, it's been a while, but I look forward to going back sometime in the near future. I also heard from Judah Kuhn. Hola Paco, I really needed this. Great information on how refreshing to see a friendly face on Facebook Live. Let's have coffee again tomorrow. I hope you're here. If you're here, feel free to say hi and stick around. Rita Myers, thank you so much, Paco. It has been very difficult to get news for those of us who don't speak Spanish. What a great service you are doing. Rita, I hear you. If I was in Bangkok or in Paris or in a country where a language that is spoken is not a language that I'm familiar with, I would feel pretty lost. So I can do English, I can do Spanish. As long as I can be of service, I'm happy to continue to share news as much as I can. Um, Debbie Simpson Bryan says, if you have any info about how our cleaning people who work independently can access help from the government, please share. Appreciate you very much. Debbie, there is a website that the government of Jalisco has put together, and I'm going to put the link here, and I'm going to share it later on after the broadcast is over in the comments section. This website has an opportunity for local business people to be able to ask for additional funding, and also for people that work independently, like your maid and like myself. You know, I work on my own, and so I am going to be um, accessing these resources, or at least applying for them. And a little later on today, I'll show you what what the website looks like. Then we also heard from my dear and beloved friend Suzanne Kirkpatrick. Suzanne says, thank you so much for this. What businesses are designated essential? Sorry if you have already addressed this. We're going to talk about this in a minute, Suzanne, because there's a lot of questions going on right now about what businesses are considered essential. But before we go there, I want to know how you're doing. I want to know, what are you doing at home to keep busy? I've changed some routines here at my house, obviously. One of the things that I catch myself doing now is dusting. I've told my maid to stay home for a month with all her pay, because that, I think that's a responsible thing to do. And one of the things that happens to me is, for the most part, telephone calls, you know, whether they're through the cell phone or the landline. I don't have long telephone calls anymore unless they're business related. In fact, I tend to grow a little bit impatient when somebody just calls and wants to talk and talk and talk. But I realized recently and lately, everybody is wanting to connect. I want to connect as well. So I've been fielding a lot more telephone calls in the last few days. So what do? I whip out my duster and I dust around the house. So I think it's what we have to do now. Dusting, cooking. My crock pot is constantly asking for me to feed it more ingredients so that we can stay healthy, stay sane, and stay alive. Let's take a look at some of the things that I've been reading lately. I'm going to start with the website that I just mentioned that Jalisco has put forth for people to apply for employment protection and income protection. And again, I'm going to put the website in the comment section in a bit. there is a button that you can click on so that you can download all the guidelines. And then once you do that, it talks here about what they're going to do. They've put aside 450 million pesos to support small businesses, 150 million pesos to support corn, people that grow corn, 400 million pesos for people that work on their own or that have unofficial jobs, such as maids and people that do that kind of service. And they're going to be doing specific support for women shortly. If you scroll down, you can find that if you're a small business, you can click here and apply. And if you're self-employed, you can click here and apply. So hopefully, more and more people will start tapping into these resources to see what we can do and how the government is supporting us locally. Now, earlier today, I mentioned that Suzanne asked about businesses that are open, that are essential, and businesses that are not essential. This is a tricky one because when the government made their statement, they were very specific, but with very broad categories. So I am sure that there's going to be a certain amount of interpretation to what the government has said. For example, looking at Excelsior, which is one of the most credible newspapers in the country, they published a list that says that essential activities include health-related businesses, drugstores, citizen protection and security, crime-related things, I see in the courts and so forth, banks, gas stations, gas distribution, clean water distribution, supermarkets, food vendors, but only for takeout, restaurants only for takeout. Here, that's a tricky one because I know that there's still a lot of restaurants that are open for business, respecting the distancing guidelines, of course. I don't know if the government will actually go around and say, you have to close your restaurant. I don't know how tightly these things are going to be observed or imposed. So we're going to have to see how that works on the go. Supermarkets are essential. Transportation for passengers and for cargo is essential. Cleaning products. Oh dear, how do you say ferreterias in English? Hardware stores, that's what it is. Messenger services, telecommunication, information sources, private emergency sources, funeral homes, storage facilities, particularly cold storage facilities, logistics, airports, ports and railroads, and any activity that was it to be suspended, it could have irreversible effects. Everything else is non-essential. So you can pay attention and see how these things are interpreted as we go by. If you look at another news source, this is Grupo Formula, their list looks completely different. They speak about the broad categories that the government has put forth. Health, security, economy, and social programs, critical infrastructure. So whether that means that you should open or close your business at home, I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is that the government has put aside a specific phone number that you can call if you have questions about whether you can or should remain open or whether you should close. And I will put that on the notes section as soon as this broadcast is over. Here's another source that I found online in which their list of activities that are not essential includes obviously construction, night entertainment venues, movies, movie theaters, cultural institutions, sports centers, and churches. So I'll keep track on these as we go forward. So that I can be of help however I can. But obviously, the most important thing to do here is to consult with the local authorities. Um, Here's another headline that caught many people off guard. Um, Puerto Vallarta's mayor, Davalos, has instructed for 500 um, grave spaces to be built in our local cemeteries. Um, his quote for this was given in yesterday's, no, 2 days ago when he was talking to the council people. He said, "We are working on the graveyards, and heaven forbid we're knocking wood, but we don't want to be caught um, off guard. We're digging 500 spots in the local, in the municipality cemeteries. We must be prepared. Hopefully, this will not get out of hand, but people need to understand that you cannot be out and about if you have no business to be out and about." So, again, this is something that those of us that have been reading or watching the news around the world, we know that this is part of what's happening, and we know that this is coming. However, I also can appreciate that people that are choosing or don't have access to information can find this kind of news really troublesome. Of course, they are troublesome, but I mean, this is a responsible thing to do. Something else that I read online that is pretty much inevitable is the government is moving forward to close beaches. Uh, and this is happening all over the country, and I'm sure that it's going to happen at some point here in Puerto Vallarta. Excuse me. Again, does this mean that you cannot go out and walk your dog? I don't know. Chances are that they're going to put protection in the beaches, and if they see people in the beaches, they're going to be sent home. Are you going to be put in jail for going to the beach? I doubt it. But it's all part of the common sense measures that we're taking. Um, so this is what's happening right now in the headlines. I want to acknowledge a couple of remarks that are coming in as we're having this conversation. Jerry Embry. Hello, Jerry. Jerry says, after the news headlines, can you recommend the best English Mexican newspaper? Thanks. I actually wrote an article about favorite sources of information on my website. And I can put the link to that article in the comment section once the broadcast is over. People have asked me before, where do I get my news? And I'm going to share that link for you as soon as we're done today. Angie Werner says, thank you for keeping us updated and informed. Your translated reports bring me peace as I feel I know what is happening here. Angie, you bring peace to my heart just because you're telling me by chiming in with us that what I'm doing here is useful, and nothing could make my day better than that. Thank you so much for chiming in. Thank you so much for your comments, and keep watching as we move forward. Now, I want to also show you a few things that happened yesterday. Yesterday, I had to go out and I had to pay some bills and be out and about. So let me show you a little bit of what I saw. First of all, I had to go to La Gran Plaza, or the Macro Plaza rather. I had to go pay for my cell phone at Telcel, and first glance I thought it was closed, but what they're doing now is they're only letting people enter the shop in small numbers, one by one. So you wait in line outside and you walk in, you pay for your bill, and you can leave. I also saw that Macro Plaza is doing what they can, to make sure that people are aware of the gravity of the situation. They had a little cleaning gel dispenser sitting at one of the entrances to the plaza next to the colorful broom and cleaning supplies. What can I say? Then I went into Walmart, where I was actually not surprised, but now Walmart, when you get to the cashier, you are expected to bag your own groceries. Of course, you're expected to bring your own bags. All the people, though, whether they're kids or seniors that we're used to bagging our groceries when we go supermarket grocery shopping, they have been sent away. I also had to pay for my phone bill, so I headed over to Plaza Caracol, where, just as in the case of Telcel, they're only letting a small number of people walk into Telmex at the same time. If you're going to pay for your phone bill, you can use one of their own ATMs, and you have to wait in line for this. Um, and One thing that you should keep in mind is that Telmex is not, if you want to walk in and speak to a customer service representative, Telmex is not is not accepting cash payments right now. So this is something for you to keep in mind. If you're going to pay, bring your cash, you're going to have to stand in line and do this. One thing about standing in line I want to mention briefly. And I'm going to share a little story, and maybe this will help you relate. I lived in Boston for 20 years before I moved here 18 years ago. And I remember one of the first things that really caught me off guard when I first came back to Mexico was how little safe distance is, or private space is, regarded culturally in my country. I remember when I first moved back to Mexico, I would go to the bank, and I would be waiting to speak to a teller, and people would be standing right behind me, and that would really, well, not upset me, but it would definitely catch me off guard. Um, and now I've gotten used to it, but of course now we have this safe distance guideline um, moving forth, and there are a lot of people out there that are not uh, minding their distance as you go about. Um, my personal take on this is that keeping your distance, keeping safe from other people, is a habit, and it's a habit that we need to learn, or we need to remember. Some people learn new habits overnight, other people take a little bit of time. So I'm going to be mindful of this when I'm out and about, and remember to tell people courteously, would you please step back, or would you please keep a distance? And I would like to invite you to be mindful of this. We don't learn new habits overnight, and some people may have a difficult time learning this new habit as fast as we'd like. So, just be kind. Let us all be kind to one another as we move forth. I have more news to share. These are local, and because it's not only about coronavirus that we want to talk about, I want to tell you about my friend Dan Rodriguez. Dan Rodriguez is the mixologist, the bartender at Divino Dante, which is a wonderful restaurant in Basilio Vadillo. Dan is intended on keeping us tipsy because he is now starting a cocktail home delivery business. So if you're feeling the urge to cure your blues with a cocktail, um, Dan is now doing this. If you ever stop by at Divino Dante, shout out to Jenna Guarner and the whole family. It's a wonderful place to have a cocktail. It's a wonderful place to eat. And of course, it's a wonderful place to enjoy Dan's mixology. He's won a bunch of awards nationally. And so he's now bringing the cocktails to your own home. So I'll put the link to his phone number in case you want to learn more about the service. And something else that I want to share that brought me a lot of cheer is that Los Mercados, one of the most beloved small grocery shops in Colonia Emiliano Zapata, is going to stay open. Los Mercados announced earlier last month that the owners announced rather that they would be closing, but fortunately they found somebody that was willing and able to keep the business open and buy the business from them. So Los Mercados is taking a couple of weeks off, I understand, and they're going to be reopening. And this is good news for everybody. How is everybody out there? Please feel free to share with me photos and news of how you're doing, what is keeping you busy. Um, there are a bunch of things that are keeping me busy here at home, other than learning how to clean my own place and how to take care of myself. And I want to leave you today, after this broadcast, with a little gift that I found online that I think is very timely. Oh no, I need to talk about something else. Rachmaninoff. Today is Sergei Rachmaninoff's birthday. He's one of my favorite composers. He was a Russian composer, virtuoso pianist who was born in Russia in 1873. That was 147 years ago. I'm sorry. He's one of my favorite composers. I'm going to leave a link on the comment section to one of my favorite compositions by him, which is his Variations on a Theme by Paganini. The link that I'm sharing with you is a YouTube live broadcast that was performed by British pianist Stephen Ho. And what's wonderful about this particular version is that he spends the first few minutes of the broadcast reminding us what is a theme in Variations, what kind of musical structure does it have, and it talks specifically about what inspired Rachmaninoff to compose this beautiful work. So I invite you today to take 15 minutes of your time and enjoy this music. Check it out. If you like it, that'll be awesome. If you don't, well, just recommend it to somebody else. So I think this is all I have for today. I invite you to stay connected with me. I invite you to check out my website where I'm publishing news and stories for the Puerto Vallarta English-speaking community. I also invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. There is a link on the website on the top right-hand corner. The newsletter is sent to your email mailbox every Sunday, and it is completely free. If you want to get in touch with me, you can do so through my contact form on the website. The link is placed here, but you can also just click on the link at the top right-hand corner of the website. And of course, if you're watching this broadcast, you're already on my Facebook page, but I invite you to click on like so that you can get notification of these broadcasts every morning as they're about to start. Last but not least, if you enjoy Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm, two very popular television shows, you have enjoyed the works of Larry David. And I want to show you what Larry David had to say about what's going on right now. If I can find the video, maybe I can find it, maybe I cannot. I don't think I have it handy. I thought I saved it in a folder that I could share with you. Oh no, here it is. So check this out.
Hello, I'm Larry David. Obviously somebody put me up to this because it's generally not the kind of thing I do, but I basically want to address the idiots out there, and you know who you are. You're going out, I don't know what you're doing, you're socializing too close, it's not good. You're hurting old people like me. Well, not me, I have nothing to do with you, I'll never see you, but let's say other old people who might be your relatives, who the hell knows. But the problem is you're passing up a fantastic opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to stay in the house, sit on the couch, and watch TV. I mean, I don't know how you're passing that up. Well, maybe because you're not that bright. But here it is. Go home, watch TV. That's my advice to you. If you've seen my show, nothing good ever happens going out of the house. You know that. There's just trouble out there. It's not a good place to be. So stay home and don't see anyone, except maybe if there's a plumbing emergency, let the plumber in and then, wipe everything down after he leaves. But that's it. Okay.
And that's Larry David, and that's coffee for me today. Thank you for having coffee with me. And stop by tomorrow. I'll be having coffee with you every morning at 10:30 in the morning, local time. Thank you for stopping by, and have a great day.